To welcome in fantastic people. Big Matt is on the scene here live. We are covering the portal is here and then the portal is gone. Where is all your players going? Some of your favorite football teams around the SEC. Hey, man, people want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. So today, spend a little bit of time covering some Tennessee, maybe a little South Carolina, let you know what's going on there, Auburn, and of course Alabama and Georgia. Got plenty of news coming out of Athens over there with Coach Kirby Smart. Again, hit the subscribe button while you're over here, and podcast listeners, I'll have this put up today. The special report: the portal is closing, so this will kind of be the end of the portal until they don't have to report their roster until August. So, what is everybody looking forward to? Or is there some players that that you think that your team is in need of? Where's some needings? Where are some lackings of your favorite football team? Just from kind of coming through this. Excuse me while I choke to death over here. Some of your favorite teams, it seems to me, and just going through this, and this news changes so much now. This news, most all this is from today, and some of it may be from kind of back last week before the other show. We talked about some transfers. So some of these kids that have moved on, we have a good idea of maybe where they're going. So we'll start off with, I guess, the bigger team of the bunch in the SEC. We'll say Alabama as of first today. Portal's closed. They have 12 players that they have added from the portal. So what looks like it's new? Well, as of today, Tony Mitchell, he's the newest. He's the newest Tide player to descend from the program and decided he could find it better elsewhere. Good luck to him on his endeavors. He had gotten into some trouble back last year. Had a run in Florida, and I remember seeing the video. Man, he was a good player. I watched him in high school, watched some of his clips, and the conversation he had with the police there on the side of the road. He's going to Florida. He's doing exactly the same thing I did. A lot of my friends did. He's just going down and have a good time. He had some weed in the car. And, of course, his friend, you find out who your friends are when you get a carload of weed. You don't have any friends. Poor kid seemed had learned the hard way. He was just heartbroken. He was just tore up about it. So he's decided to leave out. I think he had some special teams plays last year. Maybe had a few. Had a few tackles, 2 or 3, somewhat. So moving on from him, he's a good player. I don't know. Auburn was on his register, back when he come out of high school, and we'll find out. Because if you put in today, yesterday, then you have until the summer to. You can still kind of make a decision then. So it may work out for him. So today, Peyton Woodard, he's a freshman. He's going to be heading out also out of Alabama. He come out Monday. He had declared young guy. I'm just going to choke, I guess. I don't know. I just can't get it together. Sorry. Also, Cam Howard, Cam with a K, he had some ideas of maybe that he wanted to hit the portal. He's a California kid. So we're going to kind of figure out where he's going to work in this defensive backfield. Woodard is playing behind this 4-star guy, Red Morgan. So also Edward was in sights and went to Michigan State. It's where it looks like he's going to be going to as of news from 24/7 and Barstool and stuff. Now, this is Alabama. This is portal stuff closing up. I'm glad you guys could come by and hang out with me as I choke to death live here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I'm sure you don't want to now because you just don't want to hear me sit here and just choke to death as I'm trying to get these words out. Hadn't had any problem when I turn this on. It's just that time of year. Again, we'll continue on here with Cam Howard. He was a freshman. He played at Charlotte. He's going to the one that's going to be hanging around. He had 2 games over there, had 38 tackles. He's out of Maryland. Young guy, very large board for him. Coaches consider that he could be a good addition. A lot of these schools, man, are, again, they're in need of defensive backs. If a player goes into the portal Tuesday, then he can they can take their decision on a destination school into the summer to be eligible this fall, says Tuscaloosa News. Now, cornerback also, another California kid he ran track out in California. He was a state champ at track. Demarni Jackson. Played up there, going to come in from USC, 6'1", 190 pounds. Some people already have him have an NFL type body to go in and be able to play defensive back there at Alabama. Now, SEC totality, we'll kind of run through this, give you an idea of some other schools that we'll do and some that we may not do. Ole Miss, man, Coach Kiffin. Lane's got it figured out, man. If you didn't see, we did a big spot about their spring game back about 2 weeks ago. We had Burge on with us, and 18 commits for Coach Kiffin. 18. He had a 5-star and 7 4-stars to come and play. Also, he picked up the Parrish kid. The Parrish kid, the running back from Miami. A&M picked up 27 commits, 8 4-stars out of that 27. Faju, he is a center out of Washington. So they are picking up 27 total commitments to A&M, just a huge number, and coming in and new coach out there coming from Duke, getting his start out there. A&M is it's an interesting place to be able to coach. You know, you figure, here's the old thing. People always say, well, these NIL stuff's going to run football. They'll just be the biggest schools with the money's going to win it every time, Matt. Well, obviously that's not true, or A&M and Texas would have been both of them should have been in the Final Four, if we're just going to talk money. Or Notre Dame. They should have also been in it. Yeah, wash them at pollen down. Georgia, Georgia only had 2 guys come out during this 2-week period while the portal was open. Wide receiver Williams is going to head to Minnesota. We talked about that. And then offensive lineman Landberg is going to Rice. But we've talked about this about last week too. Jaden Rashada, coming in from Arizona State, quarterback. And Georgia needs, with, Vandergriff leaving and wanting to take the starting job at Kentucky, which, nobody's down on him, for wanting to leave and go start somewhere, because Beck's going to start, man. Carson Beck's going to play. He played last year. He did probably gave him a B+, or an A nearly on. I mean, they made it to the SEC championship game, and he may not have the best game of his life, against Alabama, but a lot of teams don't. And it seems like the games that they just get fired up to be in, even with that team last year, man, they're just hard to beat. If they get locked in, they're hard. They're hard to beat. So Rashada, and also Stockton is still there, and this Puglisi Pugsley, he's still there also at quarterback room for Georgia. 8 other transfers coming into Georgia: Young, Humphrey, Jackson II, McLeod, 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 Pope, and also a defensive tackle, Miller, is staying, and he's going to be a big part of the Georgia defense to be able to stay and come back. And also, gosh, how could we forget the running back coming out and going to play over there at Georgia, ETN. Just another one of those ETNs. Seem like they're everywhere. They're in the NFL, and in the spring game, he looked like thunder and lightning. Now, a lot of news down on the plains for Auburn. It's the same story, guys. So Auburn fans don't feel like you're just the team being left out and you're just the redheaded stepchild. It's not necessarily that way. A lot of these defensive backs are really moving around. I've never seen a position, I guess, I'm just thinking this right now on the fly. What brings in, what decides these guys to be, I'm going to turn this off. What brings in these guys to be D-backs? Well, you can be legitimate D-backs, and it's also a lot of times it can be guys that are receivers that get moved around to play defense to play defensive back. So it's just a lot. There's a lot of defensive backs. So Auburn's just their problem that I've mentioned before on Twitter pages and on here. It's depth. They have a problem on the depth part. Their defensive line, they've added some guys, to beef up. I'm fixing to go through here to try to build up some of that defensive line. I'm not a Peyton Thorne fan at all. I don't think he can win them those games if they need to win. They didn't last year. But they got some other guys there. But is Freeze going to take a shot on one of those guys? I don't know. So hang on a second. Let me get this. Take care of this for a second. Just hang right on right here. I'm going to turn this on for a second. So I can't ever sit down and try to do something. But Okay. All right. So Auburn, anyway, I was talking about Auburn and defensive backs. It's not just Auburn. I mean, I've gone through just a few of these here, and they all, besides Georgia, really, and they've had some D-backs come out too. I mean, last year, they had, 23, 24 guys come out. So far as the portal for Auburn down there, we just went through Alabama. It looks like, let's see here. The Mayusa kid, linebacker, coming in from Duke. He's took over almost 1,700 snaps, made 61 tackles at Duke last year. He's a gamer. He's from Detroit Jesuit High School. He's a 3-star guy. Helps the depth where needed, says coach, in a quote from the Plains article you can read through there, and also through Barstool Sports for Auburn, that kind of stuff. Antonio Kite, definitely a household name around here that we know. That played just down the road, Anniston. Antonio is definitely just really fun to watch. He's just one of those guys. You see him play high school. He's just good, man. He can run, he can throw, catch, kick. He can probably do about anything. These kids that play on D1 schools like that, super fast, very athletic, just jump and twist and turn. And he could probably play receiver for them too. But I think Auburn is getting their wide receiver room. I think they've got their wide receiver room probably figured out. I like their running back room. Some people call it the best running back room in the SEC. I don't know yet. Now, another name, Cobb, Jeremiah Cobb, played down at Montgomery Catholic. Watched him play through high school. Great young man. He's a gym guy, loves to work out. He works hard, runs hard. Seen him play spring game. He was there last year. I just need to. He didn't get to play a lot last year, and we're kind of homers for him. He's more kind of a local guy, sort of. We want him to play, so I want to see him get to play more. But Quiz and them, they've got a good running back room. But this ETN and then Jam and also Justice Haynes, they are high star guys coming out of college, and their teams that they played super crazy high quality. Teams that have against teams that have many D1 athletes. And if you play against a team that has many D1 athletes and you come out to be a 4 or 5 star, it's hard if you're a 4 star, so 5, and you don't get to see that kind of talent. And it's not their fault. It's just, this is just how they evaluate them and how they grade them. And those stars don't mean everything, but it does somewhat. You have to have some kind of way to evaluate somehow. So, again, Antonio Kite, he's going to play defensive back, kid over here from Alabama. He don't have any stats or anything. He's a red shirt, 6'1" guy, 4-star. I think it didn't show his weight. I'd say he's got to be a 180 guy. And usually get into college, you probably 190. They always put some weight on you when you get college, hit those weight rooms. Also, let's see, the Simpson kid, Puckett. With those two guys being gone to the NFL for Auburn, these are definitely some needs that he can help fill them. Now, says co-defensive coordinator Charles Kelly in article says that who can get helped him. This guy also helped him to Bama, and he's going to come over here and play at Auburn. So they're looking for good things at Antonio, and I hope he does. I hope he has a great – see, I hope he stays healthy. That's what we wish for all kids. I don't want seeing kids get hurt. Jeremiah Thompson, also defensive backs, kids out of Texas. Almost 180 tackles, 23 breakups. He was an honorable mention in the Big 12 last year. He's experienced. That's what the coaches put on his tag, quote-unquote experienced. Played at Lufkin High School where he was all-state and all-tri district area player. Also, this is news today. We just talked about Alabama a little bit. Some of their players coming in and out. There's a few here at Auburn. Coy Moore transferring out. Auburn has lost every wide receiver with 10-plus catches over the last 2 years, except for Brown and Caleb Burton. Now, last week, New Jersey native Blidi, 3 years out of Texas Tech. Defensive line had 40 tackles last year. And then the Rakes kid, we talked about him last week. I had an article I shared over there on him. He's a defensive lineman, played his spring over at USC. He's a transfer in from Texas A&M. So that's kind of some news again out of Auburn. And again, Cam Hayward, guy coming into Alabama. They did lose Tony Mitchell, the newest DB, to drop out and go play elsewhere. If a player in the portal goes to the portal again by yesterday, they can take their decision on a destination school into the summer to be eligible this fall. And also, again, this a big get was the Jackson kid from USC, 6'1", 190-pound, NFL-style kid, says reporters. And we went through some list of other teams. Ole Miss, 18 kids coming in. A&M, 27, had 8 4-stars. Bama had 12, 1 5-star, 6 4-stars. Georgia had 2 guys out, those wide receivers. And then we talked about Rashada coming in. 8 other transfers into Georgia, had Young and Humphrey, Jackson the second. And then Miller State is going to be big. And, of course, ETN adding to the backfield at Georgia. Man, Georgia's – they're going to be a handful. I'm just going to guarantee you right now, if they keep Carson Beck healthy and everything works out, and they keep all the guys on the offensive line where they need them, with the portal being closed. Georgia, and their schedule's harder now this year, okay? And we went through it about 2 weeks ago. Go back and watch the show. Burge come on with us, Northwest Georgia Scoreboard Show. Benton Burge, you can find him over here on Twitter. Big following over here, and of course YouTube, Facebook stuff. Does a lot of high school stuff over there at Georgia. They're going to be hard to beat, man. I don't know. I don't know why they wouldn't be playing for an SEC championship. Now, here's a team kind of on the back burner here. You know that South Carolina, Beamer ball is live in full effect. They've had some problems last year. Last year we reported that they had to remove a receiver to play running back. That's not such the case anymore. He has definitely brought in some recruits, and South Carolina football, they're going to be okay, man. I think they've got stuff thumbed down to where they actually have some pretty good guys at these positions. 3-star guy, wide receiver, Delvin. He's from North Carolina State. Delvin Campbell. Played a lot of football last year. And again, don't let all the stars fool you. If he gets in there and busts his tail and works hard. They also have a good receiver, this Vandruvis Jacobs. Said he played some at Florida State. This will be somebody for them to throw the ball to, because Rattler, of course, he got drafted. He's at the Saints. Wide receiver coach Mike Fury has 12 scholarship wide receivers. He had 5 back in December. Coach Fury says that these are good additions. It's good additions to have depth at wide receiver. You can have some 3-star, 4-star guys. You need to have competition. And the thing about not having depth is, well, of course, number one, the obvious thing is if you get somebody hurt, then it's going to be a problem. And of course you don't. I mean, what are you going to do? And last year they were in those spots, man, but they played a lot of good games. I think Beamer's starting to figure it out some. I'm not calling for them to win like 9 or 10 games, but Coach Fury and the guys and the other coaches are putting things together. So we're going to have to see, and stay tuned here every Sunday night at 6 o'clock. Make sure you find me and Diamond Dean, Locker Room Sports. We're going to start going through these teams, and every week we'll have a team, probably 2 teams, like we'll do Vanderbilt and Tennessee, or we'll do Alabama and Auburn, and we'll do Georgia and Florida. We'll break down all these teams and look at their schedules and where we think they're going to land. And if you don't tune into something like this, at least to show somewhere, if you're not getting something once or twice a week, how things are now, you don't know what's going on. You don't know your players, where they're at, or that running back we had is pretty good. He's coming back. No, he's not there. He just went to another school. What are you talking about? You got to stay tuned in. Subscribe to our channel. All it does, it don't cost you any money. It just lets you know when we're coming on. If you're on Twitter, follow me over here and share this. Just retweet it. Put it out there on your page. I'd appreciate it. Also for South Carolina, defensive back Zaberi has been a very Sand is out. He tore his ACL in the spring and during just a few weeks ago. So you don't want guys out with, ACLs torn in spring football. I mean, it's one of those rare things, but, what are you going to do? He's got to go out there and compete. He wants to try to get better. And again, with that depth thing, it's not just injuries, but it's about competition. And when you got depth, the guys challenge each other. That's why at small schools, when you don't have depth, you just have to play who you have, and they're not always getting challenged. That's why at bigger schools, yes, you get bigger players because you have more to pick from. Then sure, you're going to be better. Difference between, I don't know, like a South Side and a Cedar Bluff, or South Side and 1A Galesville. There's a lot of kids out there, but the coaching difference is, those kids have to compete. You have 4 deep at one position. And at small schools are kind of around here, Cedar Bluff, Gainesville, Spring Garden, whatever, you know, you don't have guys compete for spots if there's just 2 of them. It's either you or the other guy. So these depth chart things that's going on here because of the portal and kids are moving around so much, it's an all-day job. And coaches are hiring in people just to fill a role of just keeping an eye on, you know, our room and what's moving around. They don't hardly have any time off. I mean, it's just ridiculous. We'll talk about this right here. Roster finalization is not have to be turned in until August. Now, this is South Carolina. It says they're off this month as of today, and they won't be back till June. So they're getting ready for graduation and all the stuff you have going on campus. They had 46 incoming with freshmen, Fuller and Solomon, and let's see, a junior college special guy to come in was this Jeremiah Simmons. So South Carolina picking up some steam and trying to work through here and get into some things of the portal and trying to fill spots, trying to have positions for guys that are going to be injured and have, like I just said, man, you need guys out there that if he's even a 2 or 3 star guy, he's still competing and pushing against some of your 4 or 5 star guys. And the cream rises to the top. Now you're going to have guys that want to leave and jump out, and it's just so unfortunate that there's role players on teams. And a lot of people watching it played football. If you played around here, or I know people watching it some from Florida or Texas and stuff, everybody's not a 4 or 5 star starter that just comes in and, you know, plays every snap all the time and winds up going to, you know, Georgia or Auburn, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida. There's needed positions, and those other guys are still needed on the team. But just how things are today, everybody has to be needed right now. And just being a part of something and to be able to keep it together, and what Kirby's trying to do at Georgia and every other coach is too, is to – Kirby's trying to – I'm using them because they won back-to-back. You know, Michigan won it last year, but he's trying to continue and keep this tradition that he knows to also of being a Georgia fan. It's hard, man. If you think you want to be a coach, go to college for 4 years, get in debt for a bunch of money, and start out here at the local level somewhere in high school. Work crazy hours and put in the time for – you don't get to see family and you spend all this time doing this. It's tough. And everything they got going on right now, trying to keep these kids here and feel like they're part of the team, and, you know, make sure you pat them on the head and let them know, well, you're just because you're not starting, you're still important. You're still an important part of this team. So that was South Carolina, and talked about Auburn, talked about Georgia some. Georgia looks like to be in the best shape. A&M had a lot of commits come in, had 6 or 7 4-star guys. And, of course, Lane Kiffin, man, they also got in that running back, you know, from Miami. So, and looking at Ole Miss's schedule, sheesh, they may not lose a game, for real. Now, Tennessee Vols, this is what you guys been waiting for, though. Orangemen, the Volunteer State. Defensive lineman Jansen Jenkins, a 3-star guy from Notre Dame High School, in from New Jersey. Also the Elijah Herning, man, he was supposed to get in the portal about 2 weeks right when it opened, but I don't find anything anywhere. And Tennessee fans, please type in the comments wherever you're watching at. It says he's still there. Okay, everywhere you pull up and I go on his Instagram stuff, he don't have really anything different. So let me know. Elijah Herning at Tennessee, he made about 70 or 80 tackles last year, and I'm sure they'd like him to stay. Nico is going to be their quarterback, and with their receivers and that room they got, and Heupel and how he coaches, they're going to be trouble. Tennessee's going to be trouble for a lot of teams next year. Alabama goes back up Tennessee. That is going to be a third Saturday that any fan of football would want to watch. Yes, somebody let me know. I think who the portal hurts the most in the kids in high school. Yeah, you're right. We was talking about today. Why take a chance on a high school kid when you can go grab a kid's play? Yeah, exactly. Dude, Jack Hayes from over here at Piedmont and Jacob Cornejo over here at Center, those are two of the toughest kids, man. They're good kids too. They don't get in trouble. You don't hear nothing going on with them, and they're good players, man. They're good football players. But a coach from wherever, I mean, why, even a D2 school or so, it's hard for them to pick them up because they can go to wherever and pick up a kid, like Mark said, this wasn't played 2 years. And you got a kid that already knows the class schedule. He knows how the bursar's office works. He knows about canceling and classes. He knows about dropping classes and adding classes. And it's not really new to him. So he understands that you get up in the morning, you go work out, you go to breakfast, you go to class, film study, football practice, homework, eat, shower, homework again, maybe FaceTime with your girlfriend, or maybe turn on the Xbox and play some FIFA. All the college football kids love playing soccer on Xbox. I have no idea why. I don't know why, but they can get these kids that are college experienced, and kids like Jacob, and whoever, Cooper and Zach and those guys that we know right here local that's, went off. They're some good football players, man. And big schools, they just don't really want to take a chance because they can get an experienced kid. And this COVID year stuff, I think this is the last year. I think this is the last year they can play the COVID card because off topic, Grant Nelson, they're coming back to Bama. I think I'd read that somewhere in some news about him, that they kind of him being like a fifth-year guy and you can redshirt. And but all the days of, being blue shirts, Jake Crane talked about it on Crane Company yesterday morning. I watched them. And J-Boy said, when he was helping coach some at Auburn and stuff, he helped do some grad stuff. He coached baseball and stuff. And you don't have kids with blue shirts no more, that's going to be, going to have to wait behind, and they're going to wait their turn. They're going to work hard. It's just play right now. And I get it, man. Kids want to play. But this portal stuff is hurt kids like that I just mentioned from around here. It really has. Carry on here with Tennessee. Also, the Christian Cowyer, Conyer, Christian Conyer, also Wesley Walker, Tonnage, Slaughter, Burnell, and Jack Luttrell, and also McDonald too. These are going to be some guys to be able to contribute and help. Conyer was talking about him. He was a 3-star kid coming out of Kentucky. They added a defensive back, Jalen McMurray, and McCoy, and the safety, Javo Thomas. Then true freshman Boo Carter, which we covered him for some high school last year, year before. He won some kind of big football award. Boo had a good spring, says coaches. I'm sure he did. So Tennessee adding some guys again. You're seeing right here, defensive backs. I think it's just like I said when we started. The defensive backs, the joke is they're receivers that can't catch the football. That's the joke. That's just that's just guys roughing each other, raising each other, and joking. But it seems like there's a lot. It seems like there's a lot of defensive backs, man. And went through Auburn's list. Bama's having some hard time, and Bama recruited number 2 overall in the nation last year, and they got guys. The number 1 guy from around here is number 1 or 2 D back in the country. In the state. The Macumba kid, played down here at Clay Central, won state championship. He was their quarterback, played Wildcat. Well, he's a D-back at Alabama. So I don't know. There's such a big deal with such a big deal with defensive backs. It's just crazy. But Auburn here says it had 9 new transfers, 21 and altogether 21, including high school commits. Wide receiver Robert Lewis from Georgia State, 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns from Covington, Georgia. Now, last year, Auburn was 122nd in the country out of about 130 schools for receiving. They just had to try to run the ball the best they could and do what they could do. Man, they had a lot of drops last year. Dude, Auburn fans have been – I watched the game with some Auburn fans, and, man, I mean like on a, 3rd and 6, and they've been catching the ball. They run it and throw it and run it and throw it. Then it gets on 3rd and 6, across the 50, they drop the ball. Wide receiver Sam Jackson, this kid from Cal. He was the quarterback out there, so there's no wide receiver stats on this young guy. He will be at Auburn this season. They will play Cal September the 7th. He's 5'11", 195 pounds. Again, Cal will be at Jordan-Hare Stadium September the 7th. Rico Walker, tight end from Maryland, had 4 receptions, about 27 yards. Now, this kid, he's the 6'4", 250 guy. He's a 4-star guy. 3 more seasons, and he's from Hickory, North Carolina. High school, he played up there. He was number 200, top 200 guy overall in the 24/7 sports rating. Rico Walker, RICO, Rico Walker, tight end. And now, for this, we know how Freeze likes to play. And you can see this receiver he's added here, Sam Jackson, the quarterback from Cal. And then he's added a tight end. And we just talked about this other receiver, kid from Georgia State they added, 1,100-yard receiver. So there's 2 receivers. And Cam Coleman's there, come in from Central. He's just one of those. You just don't see those kind of guys come around. He's a Julio Jones kind of guy. Ryan Williams, Hollywood at Bama. He's not as big as Cam. These guys are big-time catchers of the football. Okay, they're very, very good. Both of them, I think, Hollywood was Mr. Alabama 2 years in a row. That went to Bama. So, and then Cam, he's just great. I'm just going to tell you, we've seen him play in high school. He made catches like back shoulder stuff, like he jumps out of the air. You know how a cat can fall, you hold them on with their feet up and they fall, their feet goes down. That's why he is. He just can catch it and land with his feet in bounds. So they're going to have a guy there. Again, here's some more stuff for Auburn. Again, we'll go back through this. Percy Lewis, offensive lineman guy from Mississippi State, 25 games, played at left tackle out there at Mississippi State. They're going to be in a big mess. He came from Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. Big guy. Needed added much time for. If you got to run the ball. Now, Coach Freeze likes to run that RPO. That's what we just talked about. And him adding a tight end, you can tell what he's trying to do. They're going to try to run that style of offense, but he wants a guy on the end that can block. You want a guy that can seal that end and run those quick passes and run a lot of plays, get the ball quick down the field. Because his whole offensive style, not just him, but kind of in general anymore, in the past probably 12 years or so, a lot of these offensive they don't want you to be able to substitute defensive players. So how could they beat, the best that was going back, from 15, 14, 12, 10 years ago was Bama. And they just had these huge monster guys that played, nose like Jonathan Allens, wound up going to Washington and DC, and Hightowers that played, in the early parts of the 09s and 10s. Well, if you can keep those guys on the field, keep those heavy run stoppers running, well, they can't get their breath. And then you'll all you got to do is catch a guy one time. You just catch him one time out of spot with his hands on his hip, boom, take it to the house. And that's what Coach Freeze is trying to do. And by watching their spring football, and I broke this down 2 weeks ago, I did a 30-minute spot on them. Me and Dean talked about Auburn's spring game. It seems by watching, now it's just spring football is just glorified practice. They just let the cameras come in. He wants to create these one-on-one situations and where he can run these checks and you can run these guards on backdoor spots to try to make people move. And then when you're moved out of position, when this guard pulls on this fake and he pulls it back out and he goes up the side of the field with it, you got a guy like Cam Coleman standing up there, 5+ star plus guy. You better be ready. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to create these one-on-one matchups, and with these tight ends, he wants to feel like he can still run the ball because you're going to run it fast. Boom, hit him for a big play because you catch him off guard and put him in a one-on-one situation up the sideline somewhere. So your quarterback needs to be able to make those throws, but they ain't got to make them a lot. But they just got to make them enough, and they didn't last year. Had some drops, and Peyton's just not – he's just not the guy that's going to – beat Georgia's or Bama's. I just don't think he is. Now they nearly beat Georgia and Bama last year. Took a last second play to beat Bama on that back of the goal line play. They had to do. Milroe said he threw it. I read an article today, and he said after he threw it, he closed his eyes. So it was pretty funny. Continuing on here, I'm telling the styles of how Coach Freeze wants to play this game, and then we're looking at the players he's bringing in. Gage Keys, another lineman out of Kansas, had 15 solos, 26 total tackles last year, 6'5", 300 pounds, defensive guy. Teal Carter, another defensive lineman. This guy's out of Texas. Now, Auburn's picked up, I think they got 2 guys out of Texas. I think they're both defensive players. 50 total tackles last year and 33 games started at Minnesota. 6'2", 300 pounds again. This guy's a 3 technique defensive tackle. He can play nose. He's had 10 tackles up the middle playing this nose. So they're trying to build some depth there. Because coming into spring, 1st of April or so, when they're getting together their spring football roster and stuff, they put out some stuff, and these guys go to practice, and I read these forums, and I stay on Twitter, and I talk to these guys. I can't go to these practices, but I can chat with people that do, and that's where I get news from. I can communicate with some of these people that go to these practices, and they're saying what it is, and then they have their shows and they'll talk about it, and I'll talk about it too. So Teal Carter will be a good addition. Auburn's trying to build some depth on their defensive line, and the Keys kid, and then offensive line trying to add this Lewis guy to help up front. I think there was kind of okay. I wasn't worried about their running backs at Auburn. Right, quarterback, I'm not a Peyton Thrawn fan. I'm just not. I like Hank. I think he's good. I'd play him. I mean, Peyton won you 6 games last year. You got to win more than 6. They had no excuse to lose that ball game. That's just you can't do that, man. You can't go up there and just lay an egg, lose to a team like Maryland or something. It's just unacceptable. We're an SEC team, and you can see the teams we cover, Auburn and Georgia and Bama. I'm going to hold these SEC teams accountable. And I'll burn butts. Last year I did on Georgia. Carson Beck, he used to get on my nerves with stuff he was doing. So we talked about Antonio Kite already. The Thompson kid that's the other kid from Texas, the D-back Auburn's picking up. This linebacker from Duke, I like him. And, of course, the Rakes kid, we talked about him a few weeks ago. So, and, again, if they entered the portal yesterday, or if they put their name in, they can hold on to their name and let it keep them in a position to be where they can make a visit or something in the summer. So that's kind of that. Kicked around most of the ACC teams. I'm sorry I didn't break down Vanderbilt. For you Vanderbilt fans, I apologize. I'll dig on some Florida Gators, find out some stuff about them. Billy the Kid out there, he's going to have a tough time if they don't fire him before Christmas. Man, they got a tough schedule. That's bad. So anyway, thank you for coming by on a special report locker room edition here, just to break down some of the portal guys and T, because it closed as of yesterday. So I didn't want to wait till Sunday because it's just old news and you already know. So get all your news right here. Remember, hit the subscribe button and come back Sunday. And we're going to start getting into this stuff. We're going to start talking about college stuff and guys around here and getting into stuff, local news. I'm 1A, Spring Garden girls won the area championship. Congrats to them. Cherokee County girls played an all-nighter. I stayed over there and got to watch them play. They finished off Aniana. Tough game, good game with them. They win. And then Sandrock girls go up and take care of business and beat 5 for 2A. So 1A, 2A, 4A, they'll all be going on playing for their regional championship. So good luck to them. All right, thank y'all for stopping by and hanging out with me a few minutes. Remember to be back here Sunday night, 6 o'clock Central. And tell a friend, man. Pass the word around. Best Darn Sports Show going today. Thank y'all.